our intelligence and our numbers. But we can't work in silence. We need to work with everybody. As a nurse leader, we have to learn to work with everybody, to work with the physician, to work with the physical therapist, respiratory, everybody, pharmacist, researcher. Data is very important for us. If we don't have research at our side, we don't have institutional analysts who can provide us with the data, we can't succeed. So as a nurse, open mind to continue to collaborate. Some schools are doing a great job training nurses and MDs and MAs together, which is great. Like we have some labs where we have MAs and we have pharmacy tech, we have RNs, LVNs. We put them in a simulation together and make it a real life, because that's how it's going to end up. You're not going to work by yourself. So you have to have that level of communication with the CEO, the CFO, the nurse, the receptionist, and the pharmacist, everybody. And that's the only way to succeed, is to have that interprofessional relationship and multidisciplinary. Civility. Civility and treating people with respect and be open. Welcome the new person to the team. It's very important. When you have a new students come into your team, be open. Ask them. They may be afraid. And they may be afraid and they may look at you like they need help, but they don't feel good about asking. So you need to be the one. I experienced a lot of people who were very supportive for me when I first joined and was teaching, where in faculty meeting at Cal State, some of them come and ask me, would you like to be a member of the curriculum committee? Sure. I may not ask because I'm afraid. So be welcoming and receiving and including people in your team. All right? And don't be shy to ask questions. Even your English is not that, good. When you start, I remember when I used to start teaching at Cal State, when I walk into the class, students will look at me first, okay, they say, does he speak English? Just to want to make sure. Then after I start talking to them, then now the next question is, does he know what he's talking about? So minorities, we have to prove ourselves at every single occasion, right? But you have to be brave to prove yourself. If you get there, then you deserve to be there, right? And you have to act that way. Strategic communications. That's a basic communication. Do you guys know this?
Yes.
I used to do that. So, strategic communication, leaders at the time of change, at the time of disruption, the time of disaster, leaders should not hide. They should stand in front of the mic and speak. Because if they don't communicate clearly, timely, that opens the door for rumors and all that. When you have a change at your institution, you as a leader should stand and tell. Always strive for transparency. Be transparent. That way, if you do the right thing, you say the right thing, you're not going to get in any trouble. When you're not releasing the stories, other people will make story for you. Right? So communication during the change is very vital. And we need to be able to strategically plan it and be able to speak when it's the time, and be able to communicate clearly certain goals, missions, visions, and strategies. Otherwise, your team will be lost because they look up to you and you're not saying anything. All right? You have to be advocate as a chief nursing officer or as a director of a program. As you go sit with meetings with the other departments, your students feel like you're going to be our advocate there. You're going to ask for something for us. Right? And that's how they look up to you. And that's our job as leaders to do that. Self-awareness is very important. We have to know ourselves. Just be confident. Be comfortable to know your weaknesses. It's okay. If you don't know something, that's fine. Remember, the lion is not the fastest, but he's the king. You don't have to know everything, but act like you do. Have your team, because you have to have a team. You can't function by yourself, right? So I have a team. I have an institutional researcher. I don't know that much statistics, but she does. And that's where I bring her into the table when I need that. I have somebody who's experienced with certain aspect of the program. She comes on place. I have Grace, she's expert in the BRM stuff. So I bring Grace to tell me what to do when we fill out those application forms. I don't have to know everything. But as a leader, you have to be the face of the department. And that's why you need a team. They know, they work together very well, and they bring all these pieces. But you have to be the mastermind. Okay, you plan, people execute, delegate, learn to delegate. And sometimes I interview a lot of people for jobs, and somebody tells me, I wish I can clone myself. You don't have to clone yourself. Just teach people, delegate. You're not the only, because if we, Steve Jobs said that, if we hire smart people, we have to let them tell us what to do. Not to tell them what to do, because we hire them because they're good at their whatever their department is. So if you're going to do everything, you're going to fail. You have to bring the experts to the table and let them work with you. But you stay the leader, always, and the mastermind. And the leader, successful leader, always appreciate their team. And very generous when it comes to positive feedback. You always tell somebody you're doing a good job. The receptionist, when you walk in, you say, how you doing? You're doing a good job. That's it. That will make her day. Right? From the receptionist to the dean, you tell them that, by the way, you're doing a good job. Thank you for being a great team member. That is important because they live into this satisfaction to see that you recognize that they are in your team and you value it. And we talked about, and you guys talked about us as minority and how different the education should be. And look at this concept. I love this picture because it summarizes everything. Equality means you give everyone the same thing. The short and the whatever, you give them the same thing. This is our education system now, right? You give everybody 30 minutes to finish those questions. But you know, when I came to school, it takes me forever because I have a dictionary. I have to read and write and read and write. It takes me forever to finish something that somebody could finish in 20 minutes. It's not fair for me. I need more time. I need more help. And that's what deters some of the minority students to come to nursing. Because we don't have the system built to support them. We have one size fits all. It doesn't work that way. There are people who need extra help, either for learning disability, or for language limitation, for cultural differences. So we need equity, where we give the people whatever they need to succeed. And we have to be flexible. We can't just assume that's going to work for everyone. It doesn't work that way. And there's a lot of like there is going to be a major change in education, and this has to happen where we provide for students certain accommodation, certain support to make them successful. And the best is to have the liberation where there's no limits, there's no barriers for learning. But think about diversity, because a lot of people say, okay, I respect diversity, but I have high standard. When somebody says that, they're blocking this whole thing. That's a bad statement to start with. Okay. Because I'm not going to learn like you, like Nancy, like Mary. Each one of us different. You can't just say, I have a high standard. And whoever doesn't get there, I'm going to kick them out of the program. You know how hard for a nurse to get into a nursing program for a student? It's very hard. So for faculty, we have to be wise and we have to be aware of how much does it take for that person to get into the nursing program. And we kick them out because they're having difficulty learning. It's our job to teach them. Because when we admit a patient, and the diabetic patient we admit, they sneak into the fridge and eat some sugar, we don't punish them by not giving them insulin, right? Same thing when we have a student who come to learn from us and the students fail a test or having difficulty or life happens, we don't drop them right away. We admit them, we're accountable for them. Right? Same thing when we admit a patient, we're accountable for that patient. We're going to keep helping them until they discharge, right?
Right.
That's how we should be committed. Sustain a team. Your team always look up to you. Your team is very important for you. Your team is the corner of your success. If you don't support your team, you will fail. Building a team is the most important task you will do as a leader. If you are a class president, you have to have a team. A team that works with you, that you delegate to. If you're a program director, you have to have a team. If you're a dean, if you're a nursing director, wherever you are, you have a team. And one thing that is very important that you need to remember, that there's one thing is in common in families, government, organization, institution. If that thing you maintain, you will succeed with your team. And if that thing removed, it will fail big companies. It will fail governments. It will fail organization. What is that? Trust. Trust. The team has to trust you. You have to develop that trust. If you lose that trust, a faculty team, whoever is looking up to you as a leader, if they lose that, they don't trust you anymore, or they don't trust the system, you're not going to be successful. So work on that. And I want to leave you with that, because I believe personally, building a trust is very important. And that's the only way to be able to maintain the team. Remember,